You're listening to the Culture Junkie podcast, where we go beyond the surface of pop culture.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Xandra. Together, we dive into the craft process and passion that drive today's creators. This is the Culture Junkie podcast. Life moves fast and your insurance should too. With on-the-fly insurance, you can compare rates, customize your coverage, and get a quote in minutes. It's 100% online, 100% secure, and 100% Canadian. So whether you're on the go or planning ahead, protect what matters most with ease. Head to ontheflyinsurance.com and get protection made easy. Built for life on the fly. Links in the bio or in the show notes below.
This episode is brought to you by Dr. Jim's Computer Repair in Belleville.
Dr. Jim now offers high-quality, compatible ink cartridges online, delivered right to your door. Same print quality, far better price. Just the right ink the first time from someone you can actually talk to.
Head to drjimscomputerrepair.ca, find your printer, and start saving today.
Hi, everybody. Today on the podcast, we are actually in person, and we're excited to have Leah Hamilton in the studio today with us. So Leah, please introduce yourself.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Leah Hamilton, and day to day, I'm the director of Elevation Hall, which is both a agency for models and talent, but we do also have a very academy-heavy division where we do a lot of teaching and training for, yes, people who want to tap into the model and talent industry, but also other entrepreneurs, people who want to have better stage presence in their daily practice. Actually, most recently, I was styling like headshots for corporate headshots. But then we also integrated a part of the day where we were just dealing with having better stage presence for pitching to like investors or other salespeople. So I think, especially even with something like podcasts or Instagram, everyone is a little bit of a model or an actor or a model or a talent in some way, shape, or form if you're in a very public career of some kind. And so I really love translating the best practices of great models and actors into other industries. So
Yeah.
I still teach dance and perform as much as possible, as that's my personal passion and how I got into it in the first place.
Amazing. Yeah, I can definitely see how all of that would be absolutely valuable because so much of our experience is online now. I think so many more people are in photos, they're in videos than would have been even 10 years ago. So learning how to interact with the camera and be online and what that means is, I guess, expanding as
Totally.
as an industry in
Yeah.
general. Do you have more non-professional models, performers, or as you were saying earlier, do you have more people who just want to bring more
Yeah.
of the sauce to the screen?
The short answer is both. I would say in the kind of academy part of the business, also because I am primarily located in the Bay of Quinte, Kingston. I teach in Toronto as well, but this region, it's really people who are like, oh, I have a lot of adults, which I love teaching adults. And some of them are like, well, I did acting as a kid and now I'm getting back to it. And I both want to apply it to my job, but hey, if a booking comes up, that would be like a dream come true. So there's kind of a gray area there. But in terms of on the agency side, where I'm really agenting and connecting models and talent to either other agencies or bigger clients, that's a smaller group of people. I'm only one person. I have like an awesome assistant, Jackie. Big shout out to Jackie Krasnowski. You can check her out on Instagram. But we're all a small team. So that's like 10 or 15 people at a time. And that kind of rotates when models and actors go to university. And sometimes they take 3 months off or a season off. So that can kind of rotate. But that's a small niche group of people where we're really focusing on their development and promotion. And they're like the professionals, that they're booking more regularly. But the other side that's a bit more open. And I love that space of people who are becoming their best selves through being on stage or just learning how to communicate what they do better, whether that's through, language and vocabulary like this or just, having more confidence.
Yeah.
And I think, that translates so beautifully into different areas of people's career.
It's interesting because the soft skills of being on camera, being in front of a bunch of people, do you feel that, let's say, translates into different parts of your life.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think it helps build intuition, and you're just more aware of everything, and it helps you read. If you can read yourself better, you can read other people better. It helps with empathy. That's actually like a conversation I've never really I think about it to myself all the time. I'm like a chronic journaler. I write diaries, like I will not sleep if I don't like blurt, or whoever I'm hanging out with. At the end of the night, I am so
messages.
Sorry, I can't shut up for like the last 2 hours of the day. I'm like, and then I thought of this, and then I thought about that while I was teaching. I have to get it all out of my system, but I do find that when I'm reflecting on my day, whether it's styling a shoot, helping a model and actor with a self-tape, or all of those different tasks in being an agent or a coach in that world, I do find I'm reflecting on those soft skills. And I think that's also why I love what I do. I mean, to touch on this a little bit, I think if you go out into the world, unfortunately, if you're like, I'm a model, or I train models, or I teach runway, there's a little bit of where is the value in that really? And some people are a little more open-minded, but if you just look at the surface of it, maybe it does seem a little bit, it depends. That's like a whole other conversation, but I do find that I love really thinking about why people want to be an actor, or want to be a performer, want to be a model. And to me, all models or actors, I'm going to stare right at the camera for that, but like if you're modeling, you're acting.
Yeah.
You're like, even if you're just wearing an outfit and you're like, who would wear this? And who are they in their day? And where is this person going? Like, you're always doing backstory. And I think the models I have, they're, successful because they've learned to like do that backstory, figuring out what the value of performance is, and why that really helps you have like a more fulfilling life. Yeah.
Well, I think you're stepping out onto the stage, and then you're stepping out onto the stage in life.
Totally.
So, and I had two questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
I want to ask you, the first one is about the dance that you did.
Yeah.
The second one, before I forget, because I will forget, is about creating your persona and brand as a model. So
I love all of those questions. Okay.
So
first one's more personal. That's like backstory too. And I'd love to give them a shout out. So this is awesome. So I was a student at the Quinte Ballet School in the professional program from grade 6 to later on in my high school years. I mean, I started dancing at age 3. My mom is an awesome tap dancer and pianist and performer as well. And I loved it immediately. It's my first love for sure. But I grew up dancing. And then, I mean, going into a program that Quinte still has and what they had at the time, you really kind of adapt an artist's life really early on. I mean, I was like 10 or 11 when I started. It's very disciplined. You're dancing every day, but you're also learning how to, audition. And I think auditions are sort of like a sales call in a way.
They are.
You're learning those skills of like those soft skills of what people want to see and how to communicate what you do best. But yeah, I danced, from my whole life. I still take class, and now I'm actually doing some musical theater classes teaching at Quinte Ballet School again, which is lovely full circle moment. And I would say that school, and even just being in a program like that, it's not just a career launcher for dancers or, a training. I really think it's like a dream launcher. It also introduces you to other areas of the industry, introduced to like what a choreographer does or what like a set designer does or what a lighting designer does. And I think all of that's like so obvious to us now because you have a theater production background as well. But when you're like 10 or 11, like it's so important to be introduced to these different jobs or these different lives, especially if you're in a smaller town like Belleville, so that you can really dream, And I think so many kids aren't even just exposed to enough to figure out what they love. And I think I was really, really, really lucky that I had a day-to-day lifestyle in Belleville, like by going to Quinte and then going to like summer school programs. I was able to do I eventually moved to Amsterdam for my university degree, but I was able to go there in summers leading up to my graduation for dance programs and theater programs, and just, like being exposed to all of that, I think really shapes how you end up building your life in your 20s. So I got very lucky.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny how there's an interesting little pipeline from Belleville
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is like not about performance. It's just such a random story. I did like the Sound of Music tour in Salzburg, and I was like sitting behind someone. I heard them talking about Trenton.
Oh, really?
And I was like, there's no way. Yeah. And that's like more of a travel story. But, Belleville people, we get out there. You'd be so surprised. You're in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, what? You're from Kingston, Belleville, Trenton?
But as far as modeling goes, tell me more about, before we get into the branding and stuff like that, tell me more about opening your agency in Belleville.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, like I grew up as a dancer. I also grew up modeling. I think I did like my first photo shoot or, TV commercial audition at age like 6, grade 1, grade 2. And for me, modeling was always like just another way of performing. And I immediately thought of that and I loved it. Like I always loved clothes. I always loved fashion. I love thinking about my identity and who I am. And modeling was like just such an awesome way to do that. Grew up in that space. I like taught and coached runway again, because the intersection of like runway and dance was very close, like just good posture and poise. And that was throughout my high school years. And then, in 2020, when I moved back to Belleville, I had kind of Elevation Hall as a little like sole proprietorship. It was sort of just a place where I put all those random projects that people would be like, oh, will you do this theater show? It's just 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, I'll put it in this cluster.
Yeah.
Like, oh, will you style these photo shoots, or could you help us on set? Just be like an AD. Like I kind of did a little bit of everything. And so even the word, like I kept it vague, Elevation Hall, because I was like, eventually there could be like elevation models and elevation styling and elevation talent, but the whole kind
Umbrella.
and I always loved theaters like Radio City Music Hall or Carnegie Hall. So that was like an ode. The name was an ode to that. But and then 2020 was just a cluster of projects. And then in 2023, I felt like I had enough experience where I really, in different areas and different agencies, where I really knew what my values were for being an agent, both having other agents myself and working in different agency spaces, both abroad and here. I kind of knew how I wanted to do it. And I was like, well, you just got to try. And I think a big part of that is a mix of, well, a lot of agencies have, I think, a bit more of an older traditional view of like, these are my models. And that's fine. But I do think there's a lot of value in 2026 to, support your models as much as possible and take responsibility for their development of their careers. I think it's also important to help educate your models to be and think like a freelancer. And I will this is kind of a radical statement, but I wouldn't be surprised if in like 5-10 years, like agencies didn't even like exist.
Right.
Or they take on a different shape or form.
Yes.
Think about how we even connect. It's like an Instagram DM, or it's not like you contact my manager.
No,
like we have, but there's so many direct lines of communication,
100%.
and I kind of love that. I
Different
love the
business model.
Totally, and I really like the transparency too. I mean, even as a model, if you're changing agencies, but naturally they do. Like you're not going to stay in one place forever.
100%.
There's just different markets. It's nice to know like what your career actually looks like, so you can take all of that to your next agent, like to know like who you were promoted to, or what the feedback was from that client, or oh, they didn't like, that person doesn't like my book because of whatever reason, and to take that data and then take it to the next space, or to be freelance. I really love figuring that out. I find that the model and talent space really are very different. I think with the talent space, there's a little bit more of a formula. I think it's treated a little bit more like the entertainment industry. It's a business. Modeling, it's like the only business. It's not really like a business. There's so much gray area. But my point is that I find a lot of agencies, but they're really strictly focused on like, these are our girls. This is like, we're responsible for these talent. But I really love helping a model and talent think like an entrepreneur and think like a freelancer, and really equip them with business skills for having a very long career. And I think as a model and talent, people also have this pressure that it has to, especially models, has to happen in like your 20s. Like there's like an age limit or something, but it's not like that at all. It's just your career changes. I mean, especially in Canada, we're in a super commercial market. There's a huge lifestyle division, and Canadians buy from Canadians. They buy from people that look like them. And so that modeling career can really change into something so different in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I've booked a 90-year-old for something before. Like there's such a space there. And so really equipping model and talent with that mindset, so there's less stress, or they can just plan for that longevity is what I love.
Because I've seen some of your Instagram posts.
Yes.
And there's all sorts of models of different ages on there. But back to the branding question.
Yes, the branding question.
I'm really, where do we, as far as branding?
Taking it really back to the
let's
basics
take it back to the beginning.
I think to answer this question, it's a similar answer to when models and talent come to me and ask about like their Instagram. I'm just going to keep it a very pinpointed answer. For example, your digital presence should be the representation of what, if you were to go to an in-person casting or an in-person audition, the casting director or a client will say, okay, Leah, nice to meet you. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself? And all of the other spaces, whether it's your Instagram, your portfolio, your talent resume, it should answer that question. Tell me about yourself. And so I find a lot of models, they don't have enough media that talks for them.
Right.
And we just forget. We're so busy living our lives and doing this and doing that and like loving this and getting excited about that. But we forget that none of that's tangible. You know, unless I have a great portfolio of your work or really strong digitals, which is just like your natural look, or a great Instagram profile that shows what your day looks like and what it would be like to work with you, as well as more professional examples of your work. We can't even, like, I can't have a conversation about that. And clients can't, they're not going to take risks on someone who they don't know what they do. So the first thing when you're starting as a model or an actor, or just someone who's trying to kind of like launch a career of any kind, you're really trying to make what it's like to work with you more tangible. You know, it's the media that books you, not you. So many people focus on taking, and I'm all for taking class. I love taking acting classes, voice lessons still, dance classes, just to like be the strongest performer I can be, modeling classes, runway classes. However, working on yourself is not tangible to others.
No, they got to see it.
And you have to get that moment. And I always like to say, like, every Instagram post is like a handshake. You know, it's a chance for someone to connect with what you're doing. You don't have to be Instagram heavy. Of course, you can have a more formal portfolio or, you know, whatever media is going to work for you. In the acting world, I'm so surprised when actors, you know, they have this great resume of all these plays they've done and student films or bigger commercial projects films, but they don't have any media to back it up. I'm like, where is your reel? And honestly, no one reads. Like, no, they're not going to read your resume. They're going to see a full resume and be like, oh, great, they have some training, they have some experience. Okay, they can do the job. But like, who are they?
Don't tell.
Yeah.
Just like in the adage
of
film, theater, and writing itself is you show, don't tell.
And leave the house. Every booking I've ever gotten, even we'll use the fashion show that we're doing at Nathan Phillips Square next week, February 14th, with Adam X Atelier, a great Canadian designer. It's for like the Lunar Festival in Toronto. That show, I know that designer because I volunteered as a model at a beautiful production they do, Couture for a Cause in Yorkville. It's like an annual event.
Very cool.
Of Canadian designers. It's a big fundraising event. But I walked for Adam, this designer, 3 years. And then we kept in touch. And then he asked for models for some of his styling events. So then I was kind of an agent working with him. But all of that is just because of a volunteer opportunity. And I think everything you do out in the world can lead to like 5 other things. So that's the other big thing of like entrepreneurship, but also, models and actors, to keep it specific. People are like at home, like practicing their walk or doing a photo shoot or practicing their skills, which is amazing, but it's going to kind of be pointless unless people know about you. So like, leave your house, talk to people. I talk to everyone. It's kind of annoying. I get it from my dad. Big shout out to my dad. Everyone would say, Barry, that's my dad's name, goes into Starbucks and he leaves knowing like everyone's name, what their kids do, what they do for a living. And that's like, it's every model and actor is a salesperson. You're selling your services, your craft. Leave the house, but to bring it to the branding, like make who you are concrete. Like, I want to see how you live your life, and I want to see what you look like, and I want to see what your values are and how you think. And I love when I follow someone on Instagram and they post like the most random things, like taste testing every pear. Or every type of apple. And then every time I go to the grocery store, I think of that person because I see the apples. Or Lori Donnellan, an awesome actor and model in Toronto, who came in to teach the art of self-tapes and auditioning to our talent this year. She loves London Fog lattes. And I know that because it's kind of part of her brand now. And every time I order a London Fog, I'm like, I wish Lori was here. But those things are what makes you memorable. And then when I have an opportunity for a booking, I think of those people.
Yeah, they need
to be known.
They add a little spice to whatever that item is, which is kind of what a model does. Totally. At the end of the day, is they show up and they go,
Exactly. And now every time I think of, first time I see Cindy Crawford, you think of a certain product.
Exactly.
But so just try and make that relatable to you. A great exercise I have people do is like answer the question, tell me about yourself. Typically we list 3 things. Like we speak in 3s as humans.
We do.
So it's like, I grew up as a dancer and I love to travel. I ended up doing my studies in the Netherlands and now I own a model and talent agency. So even if those are your 3 things, that's like dance, performing, travel, culture, and modeling. And so all those things need to be like, that's what I want to be known for. Make sure people
Venn
can
diagram.
see it and interact with it and be reminded of it.
Yeah.
Like, remind people who you are. Like, just that's branding. You're just constantly picking your pillars of what your identity is and then like throwing it in people's faces. And it's never enough. People are like, oh my God, I post once a week. People are going to get sick of me. I'm like, they don't see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
They're not even seeing it.
I know. Listen, as a marketing agency, it is a struggle because I'm going to give a shout out to my mom. Even Moira, she feels shy about posting content. And she's like, oh no. And so it's interesting because she is such an outgoing person. And so am I, as I am her clone.
She's great on socials.
100%. But being, and I think you can say this to all of your models as well, modeling and being in a theater production versus putting yourself out on socials is such a different vibe. And sometimes you have to take the most theatrical, outgoing person and they have to understand that this is just another form of content. This is just another stage.
I don't know why. I mean, I totally agree with you. That's how everyone thinks of it.
Isn't it funny?
And I have so many models like, I'm just too nervous to post. I'm like, you want to be a professional? Like, don't you want to be seen? That's what a model. But I don't think of it that way. But you're right. Everyone does. But I think it's the exact same thing.
It's so interesting to see that there's a different perception in the performer's mind of putting themselves out there in that specific way and creating the content. Because I will talk to a lot of models at like the shopping channel and they'll talk about their agencies, about how their agencies are like, we need to get more content of you on your socials.
That build your brand.
And build your brand and stuff.
But you know
like
what
that.
it is? And actually, as you're saying this, I'm like,
I
think I figured it out. I don't know. But it's because when you're booked for a show or a photo shoot or a commercial, it's someone else saying, we want you and we're going to put it out there.
Yes.
As opposed to like, I'm advertising myself.
True. Good point. That's like, it's like when people have a hard time writing their own bio.
Or just, it's like, oh, it's me promoting myself.
Yes.
I'm the one saying, oh, I'm important enough that you should watch this post every day. Instead of someone else giving you permission and being like, we want you and we're going to share you. It's someone else doing
they feel they're self-glossing.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
bit.
No one's going to care what I have to say. It's, but you have to learn to like just love what you do and want to share it. And I think if you talk on camera from a place of just like pure passion and excitement, it's so easy.
Yes.
Even when I get nervous to go on stage, like, and we all
do
nervous. But it really is excitement, and you get nervous because you care, and you care because you love it. And if you just like tap into that, like, oh my gosh, I love doing this so much. And if this was like the end of the world, this is the only time I could do it, just pour like all that love into your performance. And then the nerves don't really, like they're there, but they're not really important. Like if you really love it, that always wins.
Yeah.
In a time of stage
just
fright.
Try and remember that when you're recording content, to bring the same vibe that you bring to the stage to the content. I know it's a different platform completely.
It is.
The interesting thing is that there are so many more socials now. There's are so much more online platform. You do not just go and perform live anymore. Now you also perform on that. So one of the things that was very interesting for me was learning in about 2014, the people who are funding films are now looking at those people on social media.
Oh, for sure.
And they're giving funding to short films based on the amount of followers that those people have.
This is power.
Yeah. And that's a bolstering of, now it's a sure thing. Now I can feel confident that my money is going somewhere because they have 19,000 followers.
Or at least it's going to be you're not starting from ground zero. You're starting with a volume of interest from the get-go.
I have to tell people constantly, you never know what people are going to be interested in.
Oh, yeah. I have people reach out to me all the time. They're like, well, I saw like a year ago you posted this on Instagram. I'm like, wow, and actually people do. You don't know who it's hitting, but also with any type of content. Even I did some like social media management like when I first started kind of my freelancing a few years ago, and so many clients, whether it's like a a model or like a person or a business, they're like, well, we just don't, they're like, oh, we don't have any pictures to post, or we don't have any video. Like they're so focused on the literal content to post. I think you should focus on what you want to say. Focus on the message. Don't think about the photo. Think about what you want to say.
Need a t-shirt with that on it.
And then, so if you write down, like, actually, let's go big. Write down like 50 or 100 things that pieces of advice you have, or a story that's going to resonate, or just like a funny saying. Like, it doesn't have to all be super meaningful and emotional. It can sometimes just be like a giggle or whatever. Think about like 50 things you want to say, and then just match like a fun video or match a good photo to that. It's not about like, especially I work with a lot of teen girls. Naturally, like the modeling interest is a lot of teen girls, and they're like so nervous about, I don't have any photos that I love, or like I haven't done it, I can't do a photo shoot right now, so I have nothing to post. I'm like, are you kidding? No one, it's actually, and even from a client perspective, like in the modeling world, the client wants to see your portfolio. They will ask me or your agent or you for your portfolio. If they want to go on your Instagram, like they want to know you. They don't, it doesn't need to be glossy, beautiful photos. So just think about what you want to say. I went to volleyball practice, or like, oh my gosh, look at my fun friends. I just value my friends, or I'm doing this at rehearsal. Like whatever it is, whatever your story is, that's where it starts. And then just find fun video moments or images or whatever to match that message.
Do you think people get stressed out by not having a lot of followers? And do they feel like
no one cares?
Yeah. Is that like a whole nother layer of stress now going into your auditions, going into your pitches, that you feel like, well, nobody's looking? And do you feel like that message that you just gave us, which I love that, do you think that kind of releases a little bit of the stress?
I hope so. And I do think that's why, if you have a performance background, especially in theater, and then you start using social media, hopefully you go into social media with that perspective of like, I just want to say something. I want to perform. Like I'm doing it because it's about me expressing something versus I need reception. And I think if you're just like an average Joe, not into the, that sounds so bad. If you're just a person walking down the street, maybe not with an arts background, maybe I would imagine that they're more thinking about the follower. And I think you see that in like influencer spaces where they're not necessarily like an arts entrepreneur, an arts person. They're doing it for a business. They're very like, got to build a following. But I hope that like performers are more thinking about the fact that they want to express something and share something, and they can really focus on their messaging, and then I think followers will come.
Yeah.
If you're like consistent with it.
That's a great thing to remember as anyone, not even a model, not just a model, not just a performer, but any business owner, because everybody's got to create content now. Would you, bring it back to your modeling agency, do you take on business owners and people who have to create content and assist them?
That is something that, I mean, I'm nodding yes, because yes, but that's something that's been like purely organic. I've never advertised like a package for that.
Interesting.
I want to, and the reason I just don't have the time to sit down and like build out that whole business framework, but it has been very organic. And typically it's when someone is a business owner and they're like getting updated headshots, or they're booking actually, I have a background a little bit when I lived in the Netherlands in tech. Totally different. And I actually think that was like pivotal for me to think about modeling and acting as a business, to work in a totally different business and learn all these like technical skills, and then be like, oh, I always, one of my favorite phrases when I go to other agencies to promote models is I say like, well, every model is a startup. Like that, every model is their own startup business.
Yeah.
And that, like, even a couple years ago, that
New
was
t-shirt.
really like, that was really resonating with other agents. Like, yeah, like that's how we have to get our models to think about their career. Like,
Totally.
I'm a business. And when you work with an agent, you're partnering with with an investor, basically. Like, good agencies aren't like having you pay anything up front. They're like investing their time in you and their network in you. And you're partnering up. Exactly. And hopefully they see your return on that. And even as a model and talent, you have to find like your product market fit. Your product is your services. You have to find your niche, like all of that. So sometimes when I'll go into like an agency space, or clients will hire models from us, then they have all this great content that they've invested in. You know, it's like expensive to book photographers and videographers and hair and makeup and models. And then they don't know what to do with it. So then I started, it'd be like, well, I'll come over for lunch next week and we'll talk about how you can start using this content. And that's an area of the business I would like to develop, because
strategy.
Right. Because then if they're using that content really well, and it's, they're getting a return on it, they're more likely to book talent again.
Yes.
So it's like this flywheel
Yeah.
of, putting the content at the center. But, it's a very interesting marketing starting point because I'm starting with the humans, like the talent, and then, okay, you get the content and then we build the strategy and then, but it's all about getting that talent more work. But yeah, I would like to kind of build that out more and work with businesses that way. But yeah, it's been a little bit organic. Sometimes it's just an entrepreneur who's like, how do I build out my LinkedIn now that I have these photos?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we'll do a consultation. And that's just
beautiful.
like a personal consult. But yeah, to be continued.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to swing back around and like
2
check
years.
it out
Yeah.
in the future. But I wanted to reach back in time. I don't know. It's hard to choose your favorite thing that maybe you've worked on. Say might have been something that you worked on in your agency that
In Elevation Hall specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
Just to narrow it down.
yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is a bit more like personal, but I can share that first anyway.
Yeah.
Was the first time I was asked to like choreograph a music video and then choreograph a fashion show. And for
Cool.
me, that was like when all the interests came together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, all that dance training I did from like age, 3 to 18, I'm really using it in the model and like that's when I was like, wow, and also the Elevation Hall kind of service offering it's very unique and it is reflective of, I mean this in the least selfish way possible, but it's very reflective of just like my life, and I do think it's such a wonderful, and I actually mentioned this earlier in the podcast. I'm like, oh, I'll get back to that. It's a common thread where, I've had, now that I'm older and I do live in the town that I grew up in, I'll like run into like the high school teacher or like the babysitter when you're 3 and they're like, you're exactly the same. Everyone says that to me. They're like, you're exactly the same as when you were like 3 or 4 or 5. And I do think that's because I've always really known like what I love.
Yeah.
And that's like the compass for everything. And I mean, I'm not answering your question, but I'll get back there.
Okay.
But I was even saying to my dad that he bought me, this Barbie fashion show video game that I wasn't a video game kid, but I loved making Barbie fashion shows. It was my life. And now I'm like,
that's awesome.
And next weekend, I'm like, okay, we gotta pick out backdrops and the soundtrack, and okay, where are we gonna do our hair and makeup? And you're planning this whole fashion show. I'm like literally doing the same thing I would do on Saturdays as a 7-year-old, except in the real world.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a lot of stress being a business owner, also being responsible for model and talents like revenue and their livelihood. Like it's insane sometimes, but like I'm so happy.
It's funny how that
I'm still my childhood.
It took away the stress. It was something you did for fun. And now you're still thinking about it and still going, oh, what would be a good backdrop? And
I have these moments where I'm like, I'm doing exactly what I would do as a 6-year-old. And even just dancing on stage or, just going to teach musical theater to like 6-year-olds. I'm like, I'm still that kid. Like, I'm like, and I remember it. It's amazing. It adds so much value. Like yesterday I was tight for time to plan a lesson for musical theater. And I was looking at my music, and I remembered this fun, dance we did at like Sterling Festival Theater Camp when I was 8. I'm still in there.
Yeah.
And you just whip it out, and it still has value in your life. Like, people don't have that in their careers. That's what's really lucky. Or you do if you are an artist, I think.
Yeah.
Or if you have your own business. But I mean, I guess I'm just like thanking the universe right now because I'm having all these moments where I'm like, I get to use all these like beautiful little growth moments, and then you share it. And I think that's like the point of life, is to like live your life as super full as possible and then share it. It's your own twist.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point.
That's what this podcast is all about, ladies and gentlemen.
But I would say choreographing music videos and not just being like, here's the talent, but then let me help shape your vision is like, it's amazing for Elevation Hall.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Really cool.
I love music videos too.
I love it. I know that I don't want them to die.
Never.
Or even just little reels, like choreographing reels for artists.
I don't think they ever will die because that is part of integral part of.
It's not print. I still also subscribe to magazines.
Yeah.
I love magazines. There's a great photographer I worked with this week as well on like an e-commerce shoot. Her name is Lise Ferret. And she like lived in New York and had a great, career in New York being a Vogue photographer. And now she lives in Warkworth. Okay. Sorry to like give out your location, but that's okay. It's online.
Shout out.
But we were just talking about prints, and she was pointing at this magazine that she designed. And she's like, you still buy magazines. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I love print.
I have a couple of old National Geographics in the
I know. I
over
frame
there.
magazine
Yeah.
covers. I
Yeah.
frame my postcards.
Collages were an
Like,
interesting way
stupidly
to
nostalgic.
think about things and bring things
Yes.
into fruition
Yeah.
and look through stuff. So yeah, it's a special experience having something that's tangible and having something that is I mean, I used to subscribe to a bunch of magazines back in the 90s. I really liked the band U2, and they had a special magazine that came like quarterly.
Yeah.
And you had to it's
just-
interesting to
They're
imagine.
good markers of time. Too. And I think that's another thing we don't really. I read this interesting article about like since COVID, our like markers of time has changed.
Yeah.
Also because we're online so much and like day to day. And I think it's really good if you're overwhelmed or something to like figure out what your markers of time are going to be. And for me, like a magazine subscription is like a nice like grounding element.
You got all kinds of nuggets coming in.
Yeah,
gold nuggets coming in here
like
today.
You need these like milestones. Even doing shows.
Yeah.
Like again, shout out to your mom, Moira Forster. She's directing Sister Act, which I am in, and we're having so much fun. Come and see Sister Act at the Belleville Theater Guild in June. I think we open June. I really hope that's right. Second week of June.
Look into it.
Yes.
Put it in the show notes.
Sorry, my brain is full.
No problem.
But doing shows every year is a great marker of time. It makes it kind of, and I think when you're in school as a kid, you have these markers of time.
Yes.
You know, and that's why time also feels like a little bit less fast. And then you get to adulthood and it's just like all the same for years until you like have a kid or get married or like you have these bigger milestones. But I think even when you're just on your own or just for your own life, it's good to have these like moments of markers of time. I don't know.
No, I think that's completely right. And that's why holidays were helpful to our general culture and understanding. And I think that's why the pandemic was so disruptive is because every single holiday was like flatlined to we're visiting each other on Zoom.
Everything's become so like just everything's the same.
Yeah.
Every day is kind of And I think we need to reintegrate these elements of like a special occasion, you know?
And what would you feel like, because you started Elevation Hall in 2020, is that correct?
I incorporated it as as like a sole proprietorship. So it kind of started to marinate in 2020, and then 2023, the agency launched.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the marination was during the pandemic.
Yes.
Hence the difficulty.
Just gotta get busy.
And like, what are we doing? And how did you find during that time? Because, live events were not really a thing anymore. All of our cultural holidays and stuff like that were kind of on hiatus, and you didn't really know. I remember we're all memory hold this whole thing, but I like to try and remember, okay, what were we doing at that time, just so it can bring more context into what we're doing now. So you're marinating 2023, you're solidly like it was time to relaunch back into the world.
And it was, and like that early time, the thing that I remember is just saying, and the reason why I even had to make a little business entity was like, I was saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know how long you had.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we got to squeeze this shoot in and this client in and, this event while we're not in lockdown. And recently I reflected on like, you don't have to squeeze it all in right away. You can say like, not now. And it's taken me like 6 years, I think, to get out of that.
Wow. Yeah.
Like oh, yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah, we'll do it now. Like there's like this rush. Only now do I feel like a little bit more relaxed. I thought that was because like, Elevation Hall has been around for like 3 years now. We kind of have like a rhythm of what a year is going to look like. I mean, obviously it's still a baby and there's lots to work on, but I kind of know what each season is going to have and what, the revenue model is going to look like. But I think it's because I was saying yes to everything.
Right.
And then it like hits you and you're like, oh my God, I can't do all of this in 1 month, but I have to find a way to make it work. But now I think we do have a bit of the luxury again to be like, you can pace things out and you can say no, or you can say later. That was the pandemic. That's what I remember, was being like,
gotta do it now because it's
from
now
a business
or never.
mindset. Obviously, on a personal note, it was a crazy time. But from owning a business, it was very rushed, and that anxiety of like, well, we don't know if we're going to make any money in 3
Yeah.
months.
Hey,
Let's do it all in September,
I remember 2019, and it was a vastly different place
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
2023. It was
Yes.
definitely like a before and after, as far as even being on Instagram or,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I remember when Reels came out in
Yep.
2020. I was like, no one is going to make these. People are too shy to post something.
Right?
Yeah. And now, I mean, it's
Look at
just,
us all now.
yeah.
You know?
And I did my first round of lockdown in Amsterdam. So
Okay.
I graduated university in 2019. And then I moved from like the town where my university was down to Amsterdam. And yeah, early 2020, it started a different job in modeling. I had an agent overseas. And yeah, then lockdown happened like in February. And I thought, well, I'll just stick it out, work from
Yeah.
home. And
Yeah,
I
2
just signed
weeks.
for an apartment, so I was like, okay, just make it work. And I was there until like the summer, and it was my work visa for that period of time was ending in the
Wild.
summer anyway. So that I'll go home for the summer, like leave a
Yeah.
cottage, like I haven't been home in a while,
Good
and
to
then I'll
see
go
you
back
too.
in
Yep.
the fall or something. And then, well, it just kind of,
Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah.
to think that was like 6 years ago.
I know. I feel like
Oh
it's
my.
3 years ago in my head,
know,
but
say,
it's
hence
double.
the time.
Exactly. I was like,
hence
I need
the-
a way to mark time again,
Exactly.
or else I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
know.
Where do you think we're going next in general, and yourself personally,
Yeah.
and with the business? Like what's the next plan?
For sure.
What ideas, thoughts, strategies?
Yes. Well, I would say something at the core of my business is we have an awesome membership, which is a little bit for everyone who
Yes.
wants to tap into the arts and creative industries. And I think from like a teen perspective, it's great to be exposed to those industries. From an adult perspective, it's great to like learn from other creatives, even like this. I'm like, let's do this every month. So we have
I'm in.
a monthly we have a monthly membership. It's $30 a month. It's super affordable, and we do a guest speaker or a workshop for models and talent every month. And you do if you're a model and talent yourself, you also get a one-on-one consult with
Nice.
myself or someone on the team, just to like keep the momentum going. And I think that's a huge thing for models and talent in any year is you're a project business.
Yeah.
So you have to fill your time with connections or networking in the in-between period. So that's like a core part of our business, and we do it. So we do some workshops remotely. I have some amazing members in Newfoundland,
Oh, really?
Halifax, Victoria. So we always try to bring in like guest actors or directors or stylists to talk about what they do and just kind of help fill in the blanks for your arts career. And so we have that every month. And we're launching a new acting for TV and film course right here in Belleville. And it's been like a year and a half in the making. I like tried to pick the brain from some casting directors in Toronto and Vancouver, some great professional actors who have like migrated to the Prince Edward County or Belleville,
Nice.
are going to be guest teachers in it as well.
Awesome.
And we want to put our students on film every week. It's going to be a 4 to 6 week course the first time. And just, I'm so excited to launch something that's not really for a beginner and maybe not quite, but you're still learning from the professionals, but that space in between where you have lots of performance experience, but you just want to like elevate your skills on camera, and a variety of projects booked in for a Prince Edward County wedding show.
Amazing.
We're traveling with our model boot camps.
Ooh.
So I'm going to Newfoundland to teach models out there
Very
in March.
cool.
I'd love to go back overseas to do a model boot camp again. That's something I really want to reintegrate into Elevation Hall. Yes, we're in Belleville, but I'd love to travel and, connect with other agencies and educating their models on how to navigate 2026 in the arts industry.
Yeah. And as we Culture Junkie,
Yes.
which is the name of our podcast, we fully agree on going out.
Yes. And bringing it home,
Bringing
too.
it home. Every place has its own culture, its own way of doing stuff. And it's interesting to see, oh, that's different. The way they do. And then you can either cherry pick the good parts and bring. That was such an efficient way to manage the stage.
That's right.
Okay, that's how we're going to do the catwalk next time, because that's what we saw over in
that.
Milan.
You need to be inspired.
Or wherever.
And, it's not my phrase, but like the whole think globally, but act locally. And I'm totally aware that I'm still like, well, not as young now, but when I started Elevation Hall, I was like early 20s still.
Yeah.
And so the luxury now is like there's some stability, and that's amazing, but there's still this time for growth where you can go somewhere, get inspired, and like you're not stuck in your ways yet. It's not a business that's been around and you have to deal with change management or something. I still am very excited to like go to London and see how the agencies there are promoting their models, or like, just travel and then bring it home. Like, I love being based here. It's definitely home, but you only really add value or bring in new energy if you leave and come back.
And you can bring value over there.
Totally. Yeah. Bring a little bit of Belleville to Berlin.
Exactly.
You know, who knows?
So do you work with Loyalist College at all?
We've been hired by Loyalist College for model and talent.
Got
We
it.
had a few awesome talent that are in, like, I see the ad for Loyalist on, like, Crave. All the time. I'm like, there's Emily, there's Morgan, like all of our
that's
talent,
so
which is
funny.
awesome. But no, I mean, there's a teacher there, Lisa Lindenberg, who I'm actually doing an interview for their business class next week. So I have some connections to Loyalists, but nothing beyond projects.
Yeah. She gave me my first job.
Gosh,
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's
She also
a porcupine. Porcupine needles.
Yeah. Lisa was my drama teacher in high school. So again, a bit of that childhood life coming to help me out in adulthood.
Nice. It's nice to see there's like Moira, Lise Lindenberg, all these people are still going strong and bringing their years of experience and then passing it on
Next
to everybody.
generation. We really appreciate it.
We really love to see all the stuff. Belleville Theater Guild, give it up to the Pinnacle Playhouse. Shout out to them. And all of their wonderful cultural exuberance that they give to Belleville. Yeah, and just the community. It is like such a family. It's lovely, especially being like, single, building a business. I love going to, a rehearsal at night and people they care and you have similar passions. And I try to take a lot of what I've learned from that type of rehearsal atmosphere and bring it into the business. 100%.
We just need community.
So do you find like Belleville, because I'm meeting more and more people in Belleville who are just in the arts. Yeah. They're excited about creating more media, more like we have Benji's coffee shop. He's working on, we hope to get him on the podcast someday.
Yes. And he casted his pilot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
So good. Yeah. Ben, get on the podcast. Come on. He's great at it. Yeah. So Ben is a great friend through Belleville Theater Guild as well. And he's like, I've written a pilot, which is crazy. Like, I can't imagine writing an episode. I can help bring an idea to life in different ways, but oh my gosh, the idea of writing something that stunts me in every way. Maybe one day. But yeah, he wrote a pilot and he's like, I'm looking for some talent and how to organize, a shoot schedule, and Mind Fusion Visuals and Ash Merle there and Brady, they helped, they produced it, and that was directed it. And I was brought on to help cast from the community and then our own roster as well, which is such a great way for local talent to get some experience on set. Like yes, I offer classes, but there's really like no better teacher than just like going to set.
100%.
And even what you learn in class resonates with you more if you're working and on set more. So that was like such a great added value to our models who were able to do the Benji's thing. Yeah, everyone's busy in Belleville creating things, and it's awesome. Yeah, Victor Cooper did the Butter Bandits.
Victor Cooper, shout out.
80/20. We also had some models and talent in that. It was so nice to see the community come together for that.
That
premiere.
was cool. That
was amazing.
The premiere was great. I was just talking to Victor on the podcast.
Oh, awesome.
So he'll be out. Watch for that as well, everyone. And I did say to him, it was really cool to see everybody in the movie in the audience. Like it was truly a community experience, and it looked so good.
It was so good.
It was like,
I'd love to, I know they're not playing it again because they're going to send it out to distributors and everything, but I would love to see it again because I was so I was like, oh, there's them, or there's, there's
this
Chuck,
location, this location.
I was so enthralled in that. I was like, oh, I want to like experience it again for more of the story. But it was so good. I laughed a lot. I remember laughing a lot. So the story was great.
Yeah. And as far as like in Belleville, do you have a physical location?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Nice.
I'd love a good. We've had a couple almost studios, and then I'd be booked for something. I almost got a space maybe like 6 months ago, and then I was booked for something like to travel, and I was like, it doesn't make sense to pay rent and travel. But yeah, I'd love a studio space. But also we have amazing, I think our relationship with some of our partners is so strong because we rent their spaces. And then we're bringing talent into their spaces and supporting them that way.
Makes sense.
So it has actually, even though I'm like, oh, I'd love to just have everything set up and have a home base instead of like lugging wardrobe or lugging equipment, at the same time, it's actually been an advantageous way to launch a business because if you're in like Stephanie Tratner's photography studio, then you get talking about like new headshot ideas, or, and then she has maybe a recommendation of a new talent. She's done headshots and they need some assistance. Like it's been such a good way to connect with the community. Quinny Ballet is awesome at letting us, rent their spaces for theater jazz classes that we're now offering and doing workshops there. And even like Venue 1906, the awesome church that's been renovated, it's big enough that I can like do choreography for fashion shows or music videos in that space. And you can practice without mirrors.
Nice.
Which is good. Like, it's been such a great way to connect with the community. But yes, if any
in the future,
real estate agents have some awesome commercial, I would like something unique. It's got to be a hall.
Yep. That would make sense.
Yeah. Again, to be continued. Maybe this time next year. I'll come back and talk about the space.
I would love that. And I would love for you to come on anytime to talk about whatever you would like to promo, because I think it's been very insightful, very helpful for all of our clients who perhaps struggle with getting on camera. Understandable. Even artists who are in front of the camera, sometimes it's tough for them to go from working on TV to being on socials and like
being themselves.
Like Jon Stewart just had, for the first time, just went on Instagram. Werner Herzog for the first time has gone on socials. So it is it's interesting to see that, like, in the past there was such a divide between film and television. Film and television were like completely different.
Theater, film, and television.
Yeah, 100%. So it's interesting to see how the introduction to socials has now also become another element as well. So, and the fact that we as artists and performers have to also embrace that and absorb that.
Amazing. Even when I'm meeting new talent and stuff, I have people come to me, it's like, I just want to do socials.
Interesting.
I'm like, okay, let me think about how we're going to teach that. But I think all of that shapes your business, especially when it's new. Like, you build out your business for the clients you have. And it's been so interesting to explore, like how you teach something for someone who wants to be in theater, film, TV, modeling, and now socials. Or just like being a brand.
How that all of those things can support each other.
Absolutely.
And help elevate.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. On that note, we are going to say goodbye. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And we'll hopefully have you on again someday.
For sure. Sounds good.
All right. Bye.